Good afternoon, everybody. Just after noon here on the East Coast. Welcome into the Division II ECRHA Championship game featuring the visiting team, the Cortland Dragons, and the St. Joseph team. Taking a look at the rosters. First for Cortland, they have number 3, Ian Connor Wilson, number 8, John Wagner, the 9 of Donald Bowling, the 27 of Austin Morado, the 31 of Brian Danziger, the 31 of Tom Corcoran, the 37 of Brendan Cummings, as we are underway in this Division II championship game. Division I championship game is coming up next. Puck now being sent back, controlled by St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's now working their way back into the Cortland zone. We'll send it back up, picked up by St. Joseph's. Michael Heitney will have coverage starting about the 6-minute mark here of the second. Puck coming in on net. That's blocker to Cy at the last second. In goal is Christopher D'Alessio, I should say, as the puck will be sent all the way back in, and a penalty will be coming up to Cortland. Puck now coming back in. Now with the extra skater out is St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's now will send it across. Working in, will send a shot up and over the net. Net is out of position. Now gets put right back into position. Now sent back across. Now will be touched by Cortland, so the penalty will be assessed. High sticking the call. As going to the box will be the 3 of Ian Connor Wilson. And with 10:50 to go here in the first power play opportunity for the St. Joseph Hawks. Off the face-off, it is controlled by St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's with it is the 22 of Engel. Engel now over to the 93 of Pagliera, and he will send a shot and he'll score with 10:34 to go here in the first. It is now 1-0 St. Joseph's over Cortland in this Division II championship game. As we wait to hear the goal. Puck now will be picked up. With it is Cortland. It's the 66 of Nelson. Nelson controlling it. $10:15 to go here in the first. 1-0 is your score. St. Joseph over Cortland. As the puck is sent in, actually deflected up into the netting for the stoppage of play with 10:08 to go here. In the first, 1-0 is still your score. Coming up next, about the 6-minute mark, Michael Heitney will take over and take you throughout the rest of the game. As they are checking, they're trying to get a PA mic working. Puck now picked back up. Sounds like they have the amp too high there. Now with it is St. Joseph's. Puck now sent back in, controlled by St. Joseph's. Now with it, sent back across. As a puck now coming back in with it. Now is the 93 of the 95 of Clark. Puck now stolen away by St. Joseph's deep in the Cortland end. Now with it is Benyo. Puck picked up now by the 66 of Nelson. Nelson coming back the other direction. 9 minutes to go here. So unofficially, I'm giving credit to Pagliera. until I hear otherwise. Controlling it now is Wagner. Wagner will send it across. Now with it is the 23. Actually, check that. That's Pagliara again. Puck. Now sent in on net. That goes just wide. 8:20 to go here in this Division II championship game in the first period. 1-0 is your score. Reminder, coming up about the halfway point of the second, Malcolm Hackney will join us and take over coverage. Take you through the rest of the game in this Division II game. And I will be back with you for the Division I, for the first half of the Division I championship game. That will be coming up at about 1:15 or so. Puck now sent back around. Now sending it back in is St. Joseph. Will send it in on net. That's gloved and held on to for the stoppage of play with 7:46 to go here in the first. 1-0 is your score. St. Joseph's over Cortland in this Division II championship game. Power play goal scored with 10:34 remaining in the first was scored by the 93 of Malcolm Pagliara. Now coming back into St. Joseph with it and sent back in just wide. Picking it up is the 9 of Ferrara. Ferrara. Now we'll send it in on net. That goes just wide. Pagliara going to pick up the rebound. He does. Now will be battled for the rebound. Controls it. Will send it across. Now sent bouncing up. Controlled now by the 47 of Rossello. Send it back now, picked up by Cortland. Now stolen away by St. Joseph. St. Joseph coming back the other way. Puck sent through the crease area. Nobody home to tip it in. Now picked up. With it is a 66 of Nelson for Cortland. Coming back into the St. Joseph zone. Puck stolen away, picked up by St. Joseph. St. Joseph coming back in. Puck now picked up by Ferrara. Ferrara send it in on net. Another shot coming in, and the puck is deflected just through the crease area in front of the goal mouth behind Ben Hobbs. Puck now sending it around, controlled by Cortland back in their own zone. 6:20 to go here in the first. 1-0 is your score. St. Joseph leading Cortland in this Division II championship game. The first golden ticket will be punched from the ECRHA today. That is this game right here. 2 more golden tickets will be punched in the next 2 games, the Division I, followed by Division II. So stay tuned for those. And the final game of the day will be Division IV, for ECRHA championship. No national berth, however, for them. Now be sent back around. Now picked up by Pagliara. Pagliara will send it now over to the 13 of Kinney. Kinney will send it now to Tarantino. Tarantino with possession. We'll send it back around. Now back behind their own net. We're just past the halfway point here of the first. 1-0 is your score. St. Joseph now working back in. We'll send a shot. Puck still loose in front. Now picked up by Cortland. Cortland now coming in 3-on-2. We'll now send it over to the 88 of Marvin. Marvin coming in. We'll send a shot. That's blocked aside. Tarantino goes to pick up the rebound. Now we'll send it back to the 22 of Matt Engel. Engel now sitting up shot back behind D'Alessio. D'Alessio. Now St. Joseph starting to work back in with it is Engel. Engel now crossing the high zone face-off dot. Now coming back into the Cortland zone. Now sent up to Benyo. Benyo will send it puck loose in front of the net and blockered aside. Rebound. Feverishly being battled for, now picked up. Puck sent over through the crease area intended for Kenny, but it just bounces off his stick into the corner. Kenny now doing battle with the Cortland player. Now Cortland picking up possession with it is Nelson. Nelson will send it back. 4:15 to go here in the first. 1-0 is your score. St. Joseph stealing it away from Cortland, though. Cortland moving back in, but stolen back by Cortland. With it is the 19 of Bowling. Stolen Bowling. Sending a shot back behind Hobbs. Will leave it. Now picked up by Nelson. Nelson. Now setting it up back behind the net of Hobbs. 3:40 to go here in the first. 1-0 is your score. Coming up next, Division I championship game. Westchester takes on Newman. That is coming up next. As a shot from just beyond the center line from St. Joseph's. That's a blocker down. Now picked up by Nelson. Nelson will send it across over to the 95 of Clark. Clark moving back in. Now, it's sent in, ringed off the post and out. 3:10 to go here. Cortland now will send it back to the 66 of Nelson. Nelson send it over to the 37 of Cummings. Now stolen away by St. Joseph with it. It's a 9 of Ferrara. Ferrara send it now over to the 95. Stolen away by Clark. Now picked up as a shot from Cortland's 37 of Brendan Cummings is gloved and held on to for the stoppage in play. With 2:46 to go here in the first. 1-0 is your score. St. Joseph over Cortland in this Division II championship game. Reminder that coming up April 6th through the 10th in Cedar Rapids, Iowa will be the NCRHA National Championships. I will be there helping you bring extensive coverage of that event. Now sent back around, now picked up with it is Robert Clark. Clark will send it over to David Nelson. Nelson will send it in on net, and that's covered up for the stoppage in play by DeLesio with 2:24 to go here in the first. 1-0 is your score. St. Joseph over Cortland. Malcolm Hackney will have coverage starting here in the second at about the midway point. Puck now picking it up with the face-off is St. Joseph. St. Joseph will send it back. Now with it is the 47 of Rossello. Rossello taken down. Penalty coming up here on Cortland as going to the box for Cortland. With 2:04 to go here, will be the 88 of Stephen Marvin. Second power play opportunity for St. Joseph's. They are currently 1 for 1, scored about 16 seconds in. Puck now controlling it is St. Joseph's. With it is Benyo. Benyo will send it around. Another shot that goes off the side of the net. Now being picked up now by Nelson. Nelson coming back into the St. Joseph end, still with it. Will send a backhanded shot wide into the corner. Rebound now picked up by Pagliara. Pagliara now working back into the Cortland zone. Now coming in with it, we'll send a puck now over to the corner. Now controlling it is the 0 of Tarantino. Tarantino now back to the point to Engel. Engel now working along the left wing side. Puck sent into the crease area, now cleared out by Cortland with 1:01 to go here on the power play. 1 minute to go here in the first regulation period of 3. St. Joseph working in, will send it in towards the net. Tarantino. That shot was blockered aside. Puck now sent back around. Now sent in towards the net. Now picked up. With it is the 31 of Danziger. Danziger will send it back into the St. Joseph zone with 25 seconds left on the power play. 28 seconds left here in the first. 1-0 is your score. Puck working back in. Will backhand it out. Now picked up by Rossello. Marcelo. Now we'll send it in. Kicked aside by Hobbs with 10 seconds to go. Puck now picked up. With it is Cortland. With it is Danziger. Danziger working in. Puck poked away by St. Joseph as the power play is over, and so is the first period of play. Through one, St. Joseph lead this game by a score of 1-0. Coming up next.
Hockey is defined by moments. And as a player, you are defined by what you do with them. Moments to better yourself. Moments to learn. Moments to bond as a team. Moments that define character. Because when you play at your absolute best, you don't just excel in the moment, you own it.
And welcome back in. Just underway, 11:45 to go here in the second. Michael Hackney will have coverage starting about the midway point here of the second of this Division II championship game. Cortland is trailing St. Joseph by a score of 1-0. Engel controlling it now. Cortland coming towards you this period. That's going away from you is St. Joseph. Engel still with it. Puck now picked up. Still controlled by Engel. Now coming back in is Cortland. Cortland working back in will send a shot. Kicked aside. Now picked up by Engel. Engel now has the numbers coming back the other way. As the puck is sent in on net. .10:59 to go here in the first. Check that in the second. As we're back underway here. Puck now picked in, and a shot from the zero of Tarantino is blockered aside. Now sent back, picked up by Nelson for Cortland. 1-0 is still your score in this Division II championship game. Cortland coming in will send a puck bouncing in through the crease area. Puck still loose. Now cleared out. On a good job by Engel there. The 74 of Andrew Engel. The 22 is Matt Engel. 10:15 to go here. Puck now with it is the 66 of Nelson. Nelson sent it back, now picked up by Engel. Engel will send it back in on net. 9:50 to go here. Cortland now working back into the St. Joseph end. Back beneath our broadcast position. Puck now controlled. With it is Rossello. Now we'll send it over. Where it's picked up now by Tarantino. We'll send it across. 9:30 to go now here in the second. 1-0 is your score in this tightly contested matchup between St. Joseph and Cortland. Tarantino now send it deeper into the Cortland end. Puck will be sent in, ringed off the post, now back out. There's Tarantino. Gathers it up in the corner, gets it back from the 9 of Ferrara. Ferrara now actually doing battle in the corner. Puck now picked up by Cortland. Cortland starting to work back into the St. Joseph end. Puck sent in towards the net. Now sit back. Controlling it now is the 9 of Ferrara. St. Joseph working back with it is Matt Engel. Engel will send it over. Shot from the 9 is sent in on net. That is Luis Ferrara. Cortland working back in. Now with it is the 64 of Makalaini. Now up to the 9 of Ferrara. Ferrara. Now it's turned it over, now picked up. With it is Cortland. Cortland working back the other way. Controlling it now is Nelson. Nelson will send it back, still with it, back in his own zone, setting up the play. Allowing Cortland to go for a line change. Deep pass up into the zone, now picked up by the 91 of Carpenzano. Now sent back. With it is the 93 of Pagliara, the long goal scorer. Sent in on net. Puck now poked back out, picked up now by the 64 of Makalaini. Now stolen away by Cortland. Cortland coming back the other way, now stolen back by Pagliara. Pagliara now still controlling it. We'll send it back where Matt Engel going to pick up possession. 7.5 to go here. In the second, Engel with it back behind his own net. Engel with it now. Send it back across. Puck is sent in. And that goes just wide. 7:10 to go here. 1-0 is your score. St. Joseph over Cortland in this Division II championship game here from Feasterville, Pennsylvania at the Sportsplex. As the puck is frozen along the side dasherboards in the right wing end. 1-0 is your score. Michael Hackney will have coverage coming up here in just a couple minutes from now as we approach the halfway point here in regulation and of the game. And of the second period, Puckson in on net. It's covered up for a stoppage in play. 1-0 is your score. Face-off again in the low zone face-off dot. Right wing side. Puck off the face-off, controlled by Cortland. With it is the 95 of Clark. Clark will send it back up. Now picking it up and coming back in. With it is the 37 of Cummings. Cummings now back out to the point. We'll send it around. Now that is to Nelson. 6.5 to go here. Now picking it up is Nelson. Nelson. Puck with about 6 minutes to go here. Cortland has it back in their own zone. Now taking you the rest of the way through the second period here is Michael Hackney. I will be back for coverage starting you with a Division I championship game coming up at 1:15.
Down the floor come Cortland, a shot by Brendan Cummings off a stick and over to the far side boards. Dragons still with it. Puck back in the Cortland zone. Thrown down the floor by the Dragons. Robert Clark trying to put it out in front. And he put it up in the air and is gloved and held onto at the near post by Christopher D'Alessio. 5:21 to go in the second. St. Joseph's leading this Division II championship game 1-0 over Cortland. Draw is to the left of D'Alessio. Won by St. Joe's. Matt Engel carrying it up the far side. Engel works his way to the near side now. Slowly up the floor. Now he'll pass it up to Michael Pagliarella. Center Cross to the far side. Retrieved by Louis Ferrara. Into the Cortland zone, a shot turned away. I think Ben Hobbs got a piece of it. Puck in the left wing corner, big battle for it going on. Back down the floor it comes. Stephen Marvin has it knocked off his stick. Engel with it now. Sent up the floor, Ferrara off his stick. Brought down the floor by Cortland again. Shot gloved and held onto by D'Alessio at the near post. Ian Connor Wilson with that shot. 3:52 left in the second. St. Joseph still leading this D2 championship game 1-0. Draw to the left of D'Alessio. One by St. Joe's, turned over to Cortland though. Puck going over to the left wing corner. AJ Rossello will send it around. Actually, he'll pass it over to JT Tarantino. Tarantino stops behind his own net. St. Joe's still with the puck. Tarantino makes his way up the floor on the near side. Into the Cortland zone with a shot knocked down with the glove of Hobbs. Puck sent back the other way by the Dragons. Picked up by Rossello. Rossello, now Tarantino. Backhands it over to David Beigneault. Up to Dean Keeney. Keeney, a shot, score! Keeney from the right circle. Into the far side of the net. St. Joe's extend the lead to 2. 2-0 Hawks with 2:53 to go in the second period. JT Tarantino with the assist on that goal. Michael Miller with a puck now for St. Joe's. Round the back of the Cortland net, passing it over to AJ Rossello. Rossello will send it to the end boards. Behind the net, Andrew Engel. Puck now sent over to the near side. Tarantino will grab it. Tarantino round the back of the net. Over to the far side, forced to the boards by Robert Clark. He gets it back, passes it over. Near side, AJ Rossello. Rossello into the Cortland zone, a shot over the net. Puck coming down the floor. Getting to it is Michael Miller. He beat Brian Danziger to it. Rossello around the back of his own net. Comes up the far side, up the near side. Into the Cortland zone. Goes around the back of the net, tries to wrap around it, scores! No, I thought he scored. Save was made, and JT Tarantino's shot goes over the net. I really thought Rossello had beaten Hobbs. There's a one-timer from Tarantino turned away by Hobbs. St. Joe's bench also thought he scored there. And there's a shot over the St. Joe's net from, I think, Brendan Cummings. No, it was Danziger. Louis Ferrara, near side in the Cortland zone. Trying to drop it back down the boards. Puck comes over to the far side. Mitchell McElhenney with it, passing it over to the far side, and Matt Engel. Engel up the floor. Trying to get around defenders. Puck goes to the inboards. Final minute of the second. Puck in the right wing corner. And there's going to be a penalty against Cortland. Louis Ferrara got tripped. St. Joe's will be on the power play with 55.1 seconds left in the second. And Brendan Cummings is the one who is penalized. Be a 2-minute minor. And Christopher D'Alessio giving a broken stick to the official, so it can be returned to the St. Joe's bench. Draw to the left of Hobbs. A.J. Rossello with a puck off the draw. Passing it across to the near side off the stick of Matt Engel. He'll retrieve it. Engel. Making his way down low in the left circle. Passing it to Tarantino. Tarantino over to Rossello. One-timer score! Rossello from the bottom of the right circle into the bottom corner on the near side of the net. His second goal of the game, his second of the period. 3-0 St. Joe's as they convert the power play. 27.6 seconds to go in the second. Matt Engel and JT Tarantino with the assists. Draw one by Cortland. John Wagner with it, passing it over to the far side, Stephen Marvin. Sorry, that is Stephen Marvin. Puck sent down into the St. Joe's end, but on the stick of Louis Ferrara. Left behind the net, Matt Engel will hold for the end of the period. A.J. Rossello with 2 goals in this second period. And St. Joseph's are 12 minutes away from winning the 2016 ECRHA Division II Championship, leading Cortland 3-0 at the end of 2.
Axiom T10 Revolt, featuring a true vented tongue and an anti-sting lace bite insert. With airflow like this, your feet will always stay dry.
Dude, why'd you stop?
T10s are dry.
I don't think they're dry yet.
Back to the Sportsplex, Rink 1 in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. Third and maybe final period of the 2016 ECRHA Division II Championship game. St. Joseph's leading Cortland 3-0, and already St. Joe's having to force Ben Hobbs to make a save and cover up the puck. Cortland trying to carry the puck up the floor. St. Joe's nudging it back down. Robert Clark takes it away. Kicks it to the near side. Stephen Marvin drops it back. Daniel Nelson. Puck knocked off his stick. Comes to Ian Connor Wilson. One-timer blocked. Here comes St. Joe's. And David Benyo couldn't get that pass. It was knocked away by Stephen Marvin. Marvin with a puck now, although he loses it to Dean Keeney. Keeney backhanding it over, or sending it over to David Benyo. Benyo in the right wing corner of the Cortland zone. Puck going towards the blue line, picked up by Ian Connor Wilson, carried back up the floor on the near side. He shoots it well wide of the far post. Robert Clark with it now. Passing it back to Stephen Marvin. Backhanded over to Daniel Nelson. Now Ian Connor Wilson. Back across Nelson, the shot scored! Daniel Nelson throws it into the top corner on the far side of the net. Cortland are on the board. 72 seconds into the third period. 3-1 St. Joseph's. Puck on the near side. Ian Connor Wilson and Robert Clark with the assist there. Brian Danziger has the puck knocked off his stick. And then it is sent back up the other way. Danziger with it again. Shoots it well wide of the near post of the St. Joe's net. Matt Engel with it. Behind the net. Engel still behind the net. Comes out to the far side. Slowly, very slowly, very, very slowly. Still behind the net now. He'll make his way over to the far side and throw it down the floor. Griffin Pierce receives the pass. He's on the far side. Passes it back up to Engel. Engel back in his own zone. Makes his way behind his own net again. And stops. Engel comes out to the far side, sent down the floor. Griffin Pierce knocked off his stick. Daniel Nelson retrieves. Nelson. Nelson sends it up the floor. Brian Danziger with it. Danziger comes back into his own zone. Passes it over right wing corner. And Brendan Cummings sent back up the floor. Chris Fedota with it. Fedota had it knocked away. Here comes St. Joe's again. Sending it back into the Cortland zone. Right wing corner. Sent around to the far side by Cummings. Daniel Nelson with it now. Nelson. Back up the floor. Stephen Marvin. Sending it to the right wing corner. Pass is blocked by a stick. The stick of Michael Pagliarella. St. Joe's trying to clear the puck and we get a whistle. I think they called a hand pass attempt on St. Joe's. 8:33 to go in regulation. St. Joseph's leading this D2 championship game 3-1 over Cortland. Draw to the left of Christopher D'Alessio. Comes over to the left wing corner, picked up by Pagliarella. Sends it back behind the net, Tarantino. JT Tarantino. Passing it over to the far side, Louis Ferrara. Backhanding it back to the near side. And Tarantino tried to pass it across, it was blocked by Daniel Nelson. He was looking for AJ Rossello. 4 minutes gone in this third period, 3-1 St. Joe's. Stephen Marvin behind his own net. Passes it up the floor on the near side. Daniel Nelson, I thought, was going to tip it into the St. Joe's bench. And Rossello will send it back over to the far side. Nelson keeps it away from Louis Ferrara. Takes it down the floor. Shot turned away by Christopher D'Alessio. Down the floor comes AJ Rossello with a shot over the net. Puck comes back out in front. Rossello overskates it. So did Ferrara. Wilson up the floor, passing it to Nelson. Back to Wilson. Wilson in front of backhand to score! It's a one-goal game. Ian Connor Wilson backhanding it into the near side of the net. It's 3-2 St. Joe's with 7:17 to go in regulation. Daniel Nelson with the assist on that goal. So St. Joe's at a 3-0 lead. Now it's only one goal. Daniel Nelson on the far side, near side. Passing it up the floor. Brian Danziger. Pass over to Chris Fedota, knocked away by St. Joe's stick. Matt Engel with it. Engel behind the net. Comes over to the far side. Engel down the floor, puck knocked off his stick. Engel passing it up to David Benyo. Engel with a puck behind his own net. Excuse me. We're halfway through the final period of regulation. 3-2 St. Joe's over Cortland. Engel slowly making his way down the floor on the far side. Sends it towards the net. It's blocked. Rebound knocked away from the stick of Mitchell McElhenney by Chris Fedota. Matt Engel back into his own zone, around the back of his own net. Slowly making his way down the floor again. Engel over to the near side with a shot turned away by Ben Hobbs. Rebound in front, Dean Keeney trying to control. Engel gets it back. A shot turned away by Hobbs. Rebound Keeney turned away by Hobbs as well. Engel around the back of the net, puts it out in front, goes across the front of the net. Mitchell McElhenney. Turned over, Danziger taken down, and there's going to be a penalty against St. Joe's. Here's Ian Connor Wilson. On the near side. Passing it over to the far side. Stephen Marvin's shot turned away by DeLisio at the far post. Here's Marvin. Sends it down low after faking the slap shot. Sent back over to Marvin. Marvin across Daniel Nelson. Sends it down low. Pass across. Oh, Robert Clark, one-timer wide of the far post. Buck behind the net. Comes back to the near side. Sent across. Clark sends it across the front of the net and wide. 4 minutes left in regulation. Again, a penalty coming up against St. Joe's, and they finally touch up the puck. Holding against Mitchell McElhenney. 3:58 left in regulation. Cortland to the power play, trailing 3-2. Draw will be to the right of Christopher DeLisio. Won by Cortland. Here's Ian Connor Wilson. Handing it off. Daniel Nelson. Nelson. Passing it over near side. Ian Connor Wilson. Now back to Nelson. Wilson again. Shot stopped. Rebound. Covered up by DeLisio at the near post. 22 seconds have gone by on this power play. Draws to the right of DeLisio. Won by St. Joe's. Brought down the floor. Matt Engel. Trying to get it around Daniel Nelson. Comes towards the net. Ben Hobbs covers it for a second. And gives it off to Ian Connor Wilson. Here's Daniel Nelson up the floor. Passing it to the far side. And the pass to the middle lane knocked away by a St. Joe stick. Nelson retrieves, brings it back up the floor on the near side. 3 minutes left in the game. There's a slap shot wide of the near post. Rebound try blocked. Under a minute left in the power play now. St. Joe's with it. Sent over to the near side boards, JT Tarantino. Fires it back to the far side, and AJ Rosello. Sent down the floor, Matt Engel. Engel into the Cortland zone. Passing it over, near side. Tarantino, back across, Rosello, off his stick. Rebound knocked into the air. I'm sorry, that was Matt Engel. Under 30 seconds left in the power play. Pass across near side. Stephen Marvin into the St. Joe zone. A shot turned away by the blocker of DeLisio at the near post. St. Joe's coming back down the floor. Engel with a wrist shot. Score! He hit a screen. Threw it over the glove hand of Hobbs into the back of the net. It's a shorthanded goal. It's 4-2. St. Joe's with 2:11 left in regulation. 13 seconds to go in the penalty. And now a timeout has been called by St. Joe's. I'm sorry, Cortland. Cortland's called the timeout. They give up a shorthanded goal. Terrible time for Cortland to give up a shorthanded goal, trailing now 4-2 with 2:11 left in regulation in this ECRHA D2 championship game. Matt Engel with a shorthanded goal to put St. Joseph's up 4-2 on Cortland with 2:11 left in regulation in this ECRHA Division II championship game. Cortland had 13 seconds left of power play time after this faceoff, and they turn the puck over. Penalty against St. Joseph's done. Here's Matt Engel, a shot over the net. Under 2 minutes left in the game. Ian Connor Wilson back up the floor. Near side with a shot over the St. Joe's net. Puck on the far side. Engel carrying it back the other way. The Cortland net is empty. Engel runs into Chris Fedota. Fedota back up, picks up the puck, takes a shot, turned away by Christopher D'Alessio. Puck in the right wing corner. And we get a whistle. 88 seconds to go, and it looks like a penalty against Cortland coming up. Yes. Ian Connor Wilson to the box. For hooking. 88 seconds left. St. Joe's with a power play leading 4-2. Draw will be to the right of Ben Hobbs. Puck in the left wing corner. Pagliarella with it. Taken away by Daniel Nelson, carried up the floor. Nelson, far side of the St. Joe's zone. Around the back of the net, puck knocked off his stick. St. Joe's holding the puck. Passed over far side. Sent back behind the net. And then sent back over to the far side. Final minute of regulation. Matt Engel down the floor, far side in the Cortland end. In front, couldn't get the shot. Or couldn't get the shot away. Here goes Robert Clark up the floor. Near side, into the St. Joe's end. A shot off a stick into the netting above the glass. 44.1 seconds to go in regulation. 4-2 St. Joe's. They have 75 seconds of power play time remaining. Draw will be to the right of D'Alessio. Big battle for the puck off the draw. Brendan Cummings had it, taken away. The Cortland net is empty. A.J. Rossello is going to send it into the empty net from the far side. Power play goal, empty net goal. 5-2 St. Joe's with 32.6 seconds left. It's a hat trick for Rossello. And St. Joseph's are going to win the 2016 ECRHA Division II Championship. Draw one by St. Joe's. Flung down the floor by Matt Engel. To the inboards it goes. Picked up by Cummings. He carries it up the floor. Throws it down the floor. Off the glove of Christopher D'Alessio. Rebound sent across the front of the net. Puck sent back towards the net. Slapped around the boards by Rossello. Down the floor it comes. 10 seconds left. Cummings with it. Cummings back up the floor. Shoots it towards D'Alessio. It's blocked. St. Joe's holds. Slap it down the other end of the rink, and that's it. The St. Joseph's University Hawks are the 2015-2016 ECRHA Division II champions. A 5-2 win over Cortland this afternoon. A great win for the Hawks. As they shake hands with the Dragons. Great weekend for the Dragons, too. They'll probably end up in the national tournament. Time to sign off for now, and we'll be back for the D1 championship game. Again, the final score here in the 2016 ECRHA Division II championship game. St. Joseph's Hawks 5, Cortland Dragons 2.